Welcome to Specific Love. This is the 6th edition of 10 life hacks with PVC. Wow, I can't believe we've gone this far. But if y'all keep liking it, I'm going to keep trying to make them. Let's begin. You ever been out trying to, get leaves or whatever else you want to stuff in these yard bags? And they're just a pain to use sometimes. Well, I got a great fix for you. This bag I've used some nice PVC frame. You can get your leaves, whatever else you're going to use, and shove down in there. It fills it up real quick and easy. And this frame is extremely easy to make. I got some corner pieces here. I have measured out so that it fits to the dimensions of the bag. You'll have to do that to get it exactly right. And I also got the length so that it fits down nice and snug into the bag. And that way, you can now fill your bag up. You don't have to worry about things falling out or your bag falling over and just being a pain. If you like to go fishing, I know you have a bunch of fishing poles and fishing equipment. Well, you know, your fishing poles, you don't want them to get broken, especially if you lean them up in a corner, something gets thrown up against it, or if you lay them on the ground, somebody steps on it. A viewer of mine named Richard Enderling helped me out with this idea. It's a great way to store your fishing poles up and out of the way. Right here is just some 1/2-inch PVC and fittings. Now I am using a T connector here up at top with a length of PVC. You'll have to determine this length that you wish. And I got a couple arms that reach out that are connected to another T. And on the end, I have some 90-degree elbows to keep stuff from sliding off. To hold all this in place, I have these little pipe holders. They're sized at 3/4 IPS, and they fit nicely right over the T's, just like so. And you get one for each side, and you screw those in, and that way you can have a nice secure mount. Now, as you see here on ours, I've doubled this up. I've actually used a 4-way and added a second tier so that you can add even more stuff. And this is a great way you can store your fishing equipment and any other light materials up and out of your way. Make sure that you use PVC cement in all of your joints so that everything stays nice and secure. Otherwise, stuff could possibly fall and hurt somebody or hurt something underneath it if it fell. If you're anything like myself, then you have a bunch of hats. And if you have a bunch of hats, as you can see here, they can take up a ton of room, especially in your closet where you're limited space. So I got a great way to minimize this. I got this idea from a viewer named Cody Atkins. He showed me that you can take some 1/2-inch PVC pipe and fittings, using some T's, and this is a short 2-inch, another T with a 6-inch pipe coming out. This is roughly 8 inches across, another T connected to a T on this end also. And I made 3 levels. He had quite a few on his. And he said that you can either attach this, you drill a hole through your pipe and attach it straight into your studs using just some standard screws. Or in my case, I happen to have some hooks already in my closet, and I just hooked it on there. That works great. Well, let's see how this works. Well, here's what they look like. I was able to get all the hats that were currently all across here are now in one small section right here. The great thing about these two is I noticed when I was putting these lower hats on, the pipe was a little bit offset, so I just bent it to the shape I needed it, and I was able to then slide these on. So that's a great way to use PVC for your hats. If you have one of those outside ponds, particularly like for the, I think they're called koi, or they look like small goldfish. Well, if you have those, chances are you're gonna have predators looking at them and trying to get them. I have a great way to help protect those. This is just a piece of 4-inch PVC, and you can have some holes cut in it if you want or not, or you can just lay this down into the pond. You can paint it whether green or black, and it's a great way for the fish, if they sense danger, they can swim in and stay in there, and they're nice and protected. If you've ever tried to carry any kind of heavy wood, particularly like this is a headrest for a bed or just some large plywood, it's kind of hard. You stretch your arms around it and it's not real easy to always get a good grip on it. Well, I have a great way to help you lift that. Use this is for any kind of plywood or any kind of just heavy lifting wood that will work. Now this is all 1/2-inch PVC and fittings, and I've got a couple corner connectors here at the bottom to create like a box shape. I have them connected some 90-degree elbows, and then some more 90s to create like a lip for it, as you can see here. I also have run these up to some T connectors, which I have a little support bar across to give it added strength. Then I have some 45-degree angles and some 90-degree angles and a nice grip right here. And you can always wrap some fabric around this if you'd like to keep it a little nicer on your hand. You want to make sure that you use PVC cement in every single one of these joints, or they can break apart and hurt you. And trust me, it will break apart at some point if you don't use the cement. Now you take this support and you slide it underneath your wood, and it'll help you get a better grip on your wood, and that way you can carry it as you're walking along. That way you can go upstairs or go a long distance just walking, and you don't have to worry about putting a lot of stress on different angles of holding the wood. It's actually quite simple. Depending on where you live in the country, you may have a bunch of snow. Well, if that's the case, I got a great little way to use some PVC to make some snowshoes. This is just some basic 1/2-inch PVC and fittings, and I measured this about 1 foot long and about 4 or 5 inches long here, and connected it with a T. And then I'm using some 45-degree angles. As you see here, it kind of lifts it up. This will be the front, so it's easier. It slides easier across the snow, doesn't get caught up on anything. I have a nice support bar across here, and then I just took some basic string, some rope I had. You can use paracord or just plain rope, and tie it around there real good. And surprisingly, this came out a lot stiffer than I thought it was going to be. And that way, as you take your shoe and you can wrap it, tie it somewhere around the front here, and as you lift up, because of the offset here of center, the back will go down, the front will go up, and you can take your step, and that way it's less likely to hang up, and you can use it to get around the snow. I'm sitting here in my son's room and have a great idea for money. Wait a minute, money and PVC? How does that go together? Let me show you. Unfortunately, in today's time, when you have friends come over, particularly the small kids, I don't know if the morals are not there, just have not been taught right yet, but sometimes stealing happens, especially if it's money. So, if your child has a simple little jar like this that, well, can be easily accessed, or the old standard piggy banks, you know, they're easy to see and obvious what they are. So I have a great way. If you have some spare PVC hanging around, this is 3-inch, this is 2-inch. If you go to the store, pick you up some basic end caps. You can easily make you a hole in these. Then you can take these and you can stick them in a drawer or stick them on a shelf. And well, they're not very obvious that they're piggy banks. Plus they hold, in this case, a good bit of change, and that way your child can have a bunch of money when he finally fills it up. You ever get a new flag and you want to put it up in the yard, but you just don't want to put one of those huge flag posts that are not only expensive, but just not easy to get in the ground? I got a great way to help you here. This is very simplistic flag stand made out of PVC. Now, the main rod that goes through the flag is a 4-foot section of 3/4 inch, which is then I connect to a T, which then I have another foot-long piece of 3/4 inch. I have an end cap here, and also have an end cap on top of where the flag is, so that it keeps the water out. I have another 1-foot section, and then I got some adapters here that connect to a 1-inch piece of PVC, which then has a metal rod stuck into the ground. By doing that, it fairly well balances out the flag so that it doesn't tip back or forth. Get it jammed in there nicely, and then you can just let it flap in the wind. Alright, this life hack comes from one of my viewers, Mr. Mike Brown, who said that he takes his Christmas wrapping paper and puts it in a nice piece of PVC. Well, this is a great idea because it's going to protect it, and unlike some people who will throw this in a corner or possibly put it in a closet, and you're just going to have stuff piled on top of it anyway. It's going to get all bent and, well, just a pain for next year. You can take it and you can slide this down in your PVC here. This happens to be a 4-inch pipe. The great thing about if you could get your PVC just a little bit longer than what your paper is, then you can stick some ribbon, possibly your little bows, and stick it down in there. And then what you do is you can get some of these. This is just a test cap. You can get a regular cap, but these are a little bit cheaper. Pop those on there, And there you go. You can store this in a nice safe area, even in your closet. You don't have to worry about anything getting messed up till next Christmas. If you have deer that come into your yard and you love watching them, I have a great way that you can feed them and watch them at the same time. This next idea came from one of my viewers named John Rainbow. This is 4-inch PVC pipe, and we want to get a connector for this. It looks like a Y. It has a 45-degree angle coming off of it. You also need another smaller, shorter section of 4-inch pipe. It doesn't even matter if this has holes in it, 'cause it's just going to be your base. You will need also 2 test caps. It's real simple. You take first test cap and you put it in your base pipe. You take your connector, slide it over, and then you take your final pipe and you stick it in place. Now your last test cap is going to go on the top of your top pipe here, and that'll keep water and stuff out. Now you can use corn or some deer feed. It'll slide down your pipe real easily, and the deer can reach their head in this large hole and get out the food. Now to keep this stable, strongly suggest putting it maybe to a pole or a tree, like a tree here. You can strap it in place, and that way you can watch your deer anytime you want. If you enjoyed these projects, make sure you click that like button and tell us what you think about it in the comments. If you have another use for PVC, make sure you let me know, and you just might be mentioned in a future video.